Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. I'm CP and in this video I'm reviewing Bacardí Carta Oro. As per usual, I'll be using the Bespoke Unit Rum Reviewer, a quantifiable review matrix that you can use at home for your own reviews, or if you don't have time to watch the entirety of this video, simply look in the description below where you'll find the final write-up of this review, and it'll include a full PDF version of this sheet which will provide you a quick overview of the rum and its characteristics. Bacardí is a giant and Carta Oro is one of its biggest sellers. Indeed, it's been in many a rum and coke or even Cuba Libras. Therefore, let's give it a full review. So it's a Puerto Rican, it's an assembly, it's a blend of around 14 different rums, aged from between 3 to 5 years old, typically aged in American white oak casks. Technically speaking, it's an amber or gold rum, as the name suggests, and it really matches this sort of Latin style of rum making if you want to categorize them as strictly as that. And in terms of ABV, we're looking at 35.7%. So let's jump in with the Robe. So first of all, very pale, sort of amber color hue, quite clear, you're not looking at many additives. In terms of residue, let's see what we do have in additives. So it is a bit sticky. So I've heard actually from other people who've actually tested it with hydrometers that it didn't really have any sugar, but I'm getting some sticky hands from rubbing this in, so there is probably something in there. In terms of legs on the glass, they're thin, they're fast. Whirls, viscometric whirls, if you're going to add some water to it to see how it reacts, you're probably going to see a little bit of reaction, but the chances are that cold filtering, chill filtering has been involved. And then looking at the nose, a very prickly nose feel, quite heavy on the solvents in the nose. We're looking at some toffee, so some sweetness there, but you also get some pear drops and asphalt. It's not bad, it's not offensive to the nose, but it is quite, the alcoholic bloom is very present. The bouquet isn't overly rich. The intensity, you do get a nice, it clears the nostrils. The diversity of notes, it sticks really to the solvency, and then you have some of the toffee. And in terms of lucidity, it's not overt, it's very mild nose overall. Now let's take a look at the palate. So overall we have a more umami sort of mouthfeel, primary flavor. You're going to get some savory characteristics, but there is a little bit of sweetness there, not as much as you would expect. If you think this is something that has been doused in sugar to make it more palatable, it's not the case. It's actually, it tastes quite natural. The mouthfeel overall is quite oily. We're opening with some nutmeg and caramel, so the hint of spice. Once in the heart, it's going to reveal some fudge, bit of gingerbread, and there's an interesting sort of charcoal flint minerality. And then once you get to the finish, it's a classic vanilla finish. It's quite short. It doesn't really linger on the palate. The texture is light. It is smooth, but it's quite light. It's not as rough as some people claim it to be. The complexity, though, it is a very simple composition of a few notes. There isn't a diversity there, and it's not extremely mature. Again, this has been aged for only 3 to 5 years. It's a blend of 3 to 5 year old rum. And then in terms of depth, it doesn't really go deep in terms of flavor. Moving on next to the experience, the label is classic. It does look great. Let's face it, the bat logo, and then the nice use of golden tones, some prizes or coins. Are they prizes? Oh, it looks like prizes. And then this band, this golden band at the bottom. It does have a nice regal classic presentation. There's no packaging, and it comes with a screwed top. And for the occasion, this isn't something that you'd really use at a formal occasion, although if cocktails are involved, it's a great alternative to white rum, and it does add a little bit of extra complexity. So occasionally you may see it being used as a mixer in, say, more affluent environments. So like I said, this is something that you're probably going to want to use as a mixer rather than drink it neat. It is drinkable neat, might be even better on the rocks or chilled, but it makes a great cocktail ingredient. As I said, consider it instead of white rum, for example, in a mojito, and also if you use instead of white sugar, you can use some brown sugar. You're really going to get a much richer flavor. It's going to be more complex, and it's going to be a twist on a usual mojito, or you could look at using it in a Cuba Libre. It's almost like what this was made for. So really don't discard it. It does have its uses and it does deserve to be in many a drinks cabinet. And then in terms of value, this is $15 for a bottle. It's not expensive. It's very, very cheap, offers great value if it's the sort of thing you're looking for, certainly if you want to use it as a mixer rather than going for a premium rum instead. And finally, we're going to look at some pairings. This isn't scored, this is just a consideration we have here at the bottom right-hand corner. There's some suggestions of how you could consider enjoying it. So if you were to have it neat, consider perhaps having it with some milk chocolate. This will probably increase the creaminess, the smoothness of the palate. It's going to introduce, the milk chocolate's going to introduce some roundness to the flavor. It's going to make it much easier to drink. It's going to smooth any of the rough edges out. Similarly, you could consider dried fruit, more specifically figs or dates. If you're going to eat those while you're having this glass of rum, the dried fruit can offset some of the lacking complexity in the rum and create a more intricate experience. After all, dry fruits is a note that you can occasionally detect in some more premium rums. And finally, if you want to perhaps add some butteriness to the flavor profile, you know, that's kind of reminiscent of perhaps, I don't know, malolactic fermentation, which I know is something more akin to white wine or champagne, you could consider adding a croissant or some pastries. That can really, again, smooth out and play along with the oily characteristics of the mouthfeel. So that might be an interesting pairing as well. Then when it comes to cigars, we love cigars at Bespoke Unit, so we're always going to suggest a couple. This is going to be a very useful universal rum that you could have with many types of cigars. It tends to play sort of second fiddle to the tune that is going to be dictated by the cigar. So it's not going to be crushed necessarily by the flavors of the cigar, nor is it going to really overwhelm the flavors of the cigar either. You could consider, for example, an Avo XO. That would be a great choice. This is going to have some nice smooth creaminess. I believe it has an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, and that could again use that sort of creaminess you could introduce to the rum, and meanwhile the rum is going to also impart some flavors to the experience of the cigar. Alternatively, if you want to go for another style of Connecticut cigar, there's also the J.C. Newman Brick House Double Connecticut. That's an excellent choice. Or if not, the Plasencia Reserva Original. That is going to offer also some spiciness, which can extend some of the flavors of the rum as well. Overall, Bacardí Carta Oro, it doesn't deserve to be as criminalized as it has been by the fervent and passionate rum community. It does deserve a lot more credit where credit's due. It isn't going to be a complex rum that you're going to sip neat. It's going to be something that you're going to more likely enjoy as part of a mixer, or it's going to be used within a cocktail, or even on the rocks on its own. It can be very refreshing. So consider Bacardí when it can fulfill its purpose. Anyway, that's all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and leave us a comment if you have any questions about Bacardí Carta Oro, or if you'd like to share your own experiences. Otherwise, until our next video, head to bespokeunit.com and see all the other lifestyle content that we cover. I'm sure that there will be something that you will love.